Maya wiped down the counter of the last bean for the 100th time that shift, her movements mechanical but precise. The coffee shop's large viewport offered a stunning view of the Nexus station's spinning rings against the backdrop of swirling nebula clouds, but she barely noticed it anymore. After 3 years of running the only human-style cafe in this sector, the extraordinary had become ordinary. The shop's afternoon rush had dwindled to a quiet lull. A few regular customers remained, a pair of Zenturi merchants discussing trade routes over steaming cups of her special Che blend, and a mechanist tinkering with their cybernetic components while sipping an oil-black espresso. The soft hum of the station's environmental systems provided a soothing backdrop to the gentle clink of ceramic cups and quiet conversations. The door chimed, and Maya looked up to see a new customer enter. The figure was tall, easily 7 feet, wrapped in a shabby gray cloak that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Despite the covering, she caught glimpses of iridescent scales that shimmered like oil on water. The stranger moved with a fluid grace that seemed at odds with their size, each step deliberate and silent. "Welcome to the last bean," Maya called out, defaulting to her cheerful customer service voice. "What can I get you?" The cloaked figure approached the counter, and Maya felt the temperature around her drop several degrees. When they spoke, their voice was a low rumble that seemed to resonate in her bones. "I am unfamiliar with your offerings." Maya's smile softened into something more genuine. She learned early on that being the only human coffee shop in this sector meant playing cultural ambassador as much as barista. "Well, you're in luck. Helping people discover new drinks is my favorite part of the job. Any preferences? Hot, cold, sweet, bitter?" The stranger's head tilted slightly, and Maya caught a glimpse of eyes that glowed like dying stars under the hood. "I have not consumed human beverages before. What would you recommend?" "Mind if I ask what species you are? Different biology, different recommendations." Maya kept her tone professional but friendly, the way she learned to handle first-time alien customers. There was a pause, heavy with unspoken weight. "I am Draconian." Maya's eyebrows rose slightly. Draconians were rare in this sector, and according to station gossip, their empire had recently undergone some kind of political upheaval. But it wasn't her business to pry. "In that case, I'd recommend starting with something that won't overwhelm your thermal regulatory system. How about a light roast coffee with a hint of vanilla? It's smooth, not too strong, and the vanilla adds a subtle sweetness that most species find pleasant." The Draconian's cloak shifted in what might have been a nod. "Your expertise is appreciated." As Maya prepared the drink, she noticed how the stranger seemed to be constantly aware of their surroundings, head turning slightly at every sound. Their posture was rigid, like someone expecting trouble. She'd seen that kind of hypervigilance before, usually in people running from something or someone. She added an extra shot of vanilla to the coffee, a trick she'd learned helped calm nervous customers. As she worked, she kept up a light stream of chatter about the different coffee beans she stocked, the various alien modifications she made to classic drinks, and the story behind the shop's name. The Draconian didn't respond much, but she noticed their posture gradually relaxing. When she placed the steaming cup on the counter, the stranger reached into their cloak, presumably for payment. Maya held up a hand. "First times on the house. House policy for anyone trying human coffee for the first time. Consider it cultural exchange." The glowing eyes fixed on her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. "You would offer hospitality without expectation of compensation." Maya shrugged. "It's just coffee. Sometimes people need a little kindness, especially far from home." She pushed the cup forward. "Go on. Try it while it's hot." The Draconian's clawed hands emerged from the cloak, surprisingly delicate as they lifted the cup. They took a careful sip, and Maya saw those mysterious eyes widen slightly. "This is unexpected. The complexity of flavors, the warmth." They took another sip. "You have skill in your craft." "Thank you. That means a lot." Maya smiled, then noticed the time on the shop's chronometer. Oh, heads up. Station security does their rounds soon. They tend to hassle anyone they don't recognize, especially if they're... She gestured vaguely at the concealing cloak. The Draconians stiffened, their earlier tension returning. I should depart. Wait. Maya grabbed a to-go cup and quickly transferred the coffee. Take it with you. And... She hesitated, then continued. If you need a quiet place to sit tomorrow, we're usually pretty empty during the morning maintenance cycle. Security's busy then, too. The stranger accepted the cup with what might have been surprise. You are kind, Maya of the last bean. Perhaps I will return. They turned to leave, cloak swirling around them. Just before they reached the door, Maya called out, I never got your name. The Draconian paused. You may call me Kirax. Then they were gone, leaving only the lingering scent of coffee and stardust in their wake. Maya watched the door slide shut, wondering what she'd just gotten herself involved in. But that was a problem for tomorrow. Right now, she had a counter to wipe down, cups to wash, and regular customers to serve. Sometimes, she thought, the most important moments in life started with something as simple as a cup of coffee. The morning maintenance cycle brought with it the usual symphony of clanking pipes and humming generators. Maya had just finished calibrating her espresso machine when the shop's security sensors pinged. 3 figures in sleek black armor were making their way down the station's main corridor, their movements too purposeful to be casual shoppers. She recognized the insignia on their shoulders. The Draconian Security Council, the same organization that had been plastering wanted notices across the station's public terminals. The notices never showed a clear image of their target, just warnings about a dangerous political dissident. Maya's hand slipped on the portafilter she was cleaning. Kyrax's strange behavior, the concealing cloak, the tension at the mention of security. Suddenly it all made sense. She had just enough time to compose herself before the door slid open with a harsh buzz. This establishment will be searched, announced the lead officer, their translator rendering their words in flat, emotionless standard. Suspected fugitive sighting in this sector. Maya raised an eyebrow, channeling every ounce of casual indifference she'd learned from years of customer service. Search warrant. The officer's helmet tilted. This is a matter of imperial security, and this is a registered business under station commerce protection laws. Maya tapped the license displayed prominently behind the counter. No warrant, no search. You can take it up with station administration if you want, but good luck getting through their paperwork before next cycle. While 2 officers conducted a scan of the shop's exterior, the leader leaned forward, their armor creaking. Human, harboring a fugitive of the Empire is punishable by... A sudden crash from the kitchen interrupted them. Maya's heart jumped. She knew that sound. Someone had just come through the maintenance access panel she'd installed during her first year, when she needed a quick escape route from an overenthusiastic admirer. The officers spun toward the noise. Secure the back entrance. Maya moved fast, accidentally bumping her largest container of coffee beans. It hit the floor with a thunderous crash, beans scattering everywhere. The officers stumbled, their armored boots sliding on the rolling beans. Oh no, I'm so sorry, Maya exclaimed, making a show of trying to help while actually creating more chaos. That was my last shipment of Terran dark roast. Do you know how expensive that is out here? The lead officer shoved her aside, but the delay had served its purpose. By the time they reached the kitchen, it was empty. The maintenance panel hung open, revealing the dark maze of service tunnels beyond. Track them, the leader barked, and the 3 officers disappeared into the tunnel network. Maya waited until their footsteps faded, then grabbed her emergency pack from under the counter, medical supplies, emergency rations, and a handful of credit chips, all necessities for life on a station where things could go wrong quickly. She locked up the shop with practiced efficiency, leaving a closed for maintenance sign that would keep most customers from asking questions. The service tunnels were a cramped labyrinth of pipes and conduits, barely lit by emergency strips that cast everything in a dim red glow. Maya moved quickly, counting junctions and checking marks she'd left on the walls during previous explorations. She found what she was looking for at junction 47B, a fresh scratch in the metallic coating, pointing left. 3 levels down and 2 sectors over, she finally caught up to her quarry. Kirax was pressed into an alcove, their cloak shed to reveal the full magnificence of their draconian form. Iridescent scales shifted colors in the emergency lighting, and wings that had been hidden beneath the cloak were now half spread in a defensive posture. "You should not have come," Kirax rumbled, though Maya noticed they didn't sound entirely displeased. "Probably not," Maya agreed, keeping her voice low. "But I know these tunnels better than anyone except maybe the maintenance droids. Those officers, they'll be running in circles for hours." As sound echoed through the tunnels, boots on metal, still distant but getting closer. Kirax's wings twitched. They are persistent. They're also predictable. Maya gestured down a narrow side passage. "This way. There's a secure location where we can talk, preferably about why the Draconian Security Council is so interested in one of their own." Kirax hesitated. "You are risking much for someone you barely know." "Yeah, well," Maya shrugged, already moving toward the passage. "You liked my coffee. That makes you a customer, and I take care of my customers." A sound emerged from Kirax that might have been a laugh, a deep, resonant thing that made the pipes around them vibrate slightly. "Your species continues to surprise me," Maya of the last being. They traveled in silence through the maintenance tunnels, Maya leading them through a complex series of turns designed to lose any pursuit. Finally, they reached a heavy door marked Environmental Control Substation 23. Maya placed her hand on the scanner, and the door slid open to reveal a small room filled with humming machinery. "My unofficial break room," she explained, sealing the door behind them. "Station maintenance never checks it because it's officially decommissioned. The environmental systems were rerouted years ago, but nobody ever updated the records." Kirax surveyed the space with apparent approval. "You have prepared well for contingencies. Living on the edge of space teaches you to have backup plans for your backup plans." Maya settled onto a sturdy crate, trying to project calm despite her racing heart. "So, want to tell me why the Security Council is so interested in you? And maybe why a Draconian of your obvious status was slumming it in my coffee shop?" Those star-bright eyes fixed on her, and Maya felt the weight of centuries in that gaze. When Kirax spoke, their voice was heavy with both authority and weariness. "What do you know of the recent changes in the Draconian Empire?" "Just station gossip. Something about the Emperor disappearing and the Security Council taking control." Maya's eyes widened as the pieces clicked into place. Oh no. Indeed. Kirax's scales shifted to a deeper, midnight blue. "I was Emperor of the Draconian Empire. And now, it seems, I am also your problem." Maya took a long moment to process this, then sighed. "I don't suppose you believe me if I said this isn't the strangest situation my coffee shop has gotten me into." The Emperor in Exile's scales rippled with what might have been amusement. "I believe, Maya of the last being, that you and I have much to discuss." In the dim light of Environmental Control Substation 23, Maya watched as Kirax's scales shifted through a spectrum of colors that seemed to match their changing emotions. The exiled Emperor had spent the last hour explaining the complex web of betrayal that had led to their current situation, and with each revelation, Maya's simple life as a station barista seemed increasingly distant. "Let me get this straight," Maya said, pacing between humming machinery. "The Security Council didn't just stage a coup. They're using some kind of forbidden technology to control people's minds." Kirax's wings rustled in the confined space. "The quantum consciousness array. An ancient weapon we discovered in the ruins of a long-dead civilization. I ordered it sealed away, but the Council." Their scales darkened to a deep crimson. "They modified it, refined it. Now they can subtly influence the thoughts of entire populations. And that's why you ran. To avoid being controlled." "Partially." Kyrax's claws traced patterns in the metal flooring. Draconian physiology is naturally resistant to such influence. But as Emperor, I discovered something far worse. The array doesn't just control minds, it feeds on them. Each use damages the collective consciousness of those it affects. Given enough time, it will reduce my people to empty shells, their spirits consumed to fuel the Council's power. Maya stopped pacing. How long? At the current rate of degradation, perhaps 2 standard years before the damage becomes irreversible. Kyrax's eyes dimmed. I fled not to save myself, but to find allies beyond the Empire's borders. Someone somewhere must know how to counter this technology. Maya slumped onto her crate, running a hand through her hair. And instead of finding powerful allies, you found a coffee shop. I found kindness, Kyrax corrected. Something the Council believes makes one weak. They would not expect me to hide in a place where such a weakness is freely offered. A distant clang echoed through the maintenance tunnels, making them both tense. Maya checked her datapad, which was patched into the station's security feeds. Patrols are getting closer. They're being more systematic now. I should leave. Kyrax rose to their full height, head nearly brushing the ceiling. You have already risked too much. No. Maya's voice was firm. First, running now would just make you more visible. Second, I have questions, like why this station? There must be better places to hide than a third-rate commercial hub. Kyrax's scales shifted to a thoughtful blue-green. The station's position is strategic. 3 major trade routes intersect here, allowing information to flow freely. More importantly, it houses a secondary quantum communications array. Primitive compared to the Council's technology, but similar enough that I might use it to broadcast a warning to my people. The QCOM hub in Sector 7. Maya frowned. That's the most heavily guarded part of the station. Even maintenance crews need special clearance. Hence why I have made no attempt to access it. Kyrax's tail twitched in frustration. The Council's agents watch it constantly. Maya was quiet for a moment, her mind racing. But they don't watch the coffee shop that supplies the hub's staff with their daily caffeine fix. Kyrax's head tilted. Explain. The QCOM hub's security is impressive, but their staff are mostly overworked technicians who rely on my deliveries to stay alert during their shifts. Maya pulled up a layout of the station on her datapad. I have legitimate access to their break room. Not the sensitive areas, but close enough to be useful, Kyrax finished, their scales brightening with interest. More than that, those technicians talk. A lot. Especially to the person who knows exactly how they like their coffee. Maya's eyes took on a calculating look. Give me a few days to gather intelligence. We need to know their schedules, their protocols, their weak points. A few days may be too long. The Council's agents will be watching the hub even more closely now that they know you're on the station. Maya interrupted. We need them to think you've moved on, which means you need a better hiding place than these maintenance tunnels. She stood, checking her datapad one more time. My shop has a sub-basement, originally storage, but I converted part of it into living quarters for emergencies. The entrance is hidden behind some very boring-looking cargo containers. If anyone scans it, it registers as part of the waste reclamation system. Kyrax studied her with those ancient eyes. You seem remarkably prepared for harboring fugitives. Let's just say you're not the first person who's needed help disappearing for a while. Maya managed a small smile. Though you are the first emperor. Former emperor, Kyrax corrected softly. Current emperor in exile, Maya countered. And soon to be emperor restored, if we can figure out how to use that quantum array to expose the Council's plans. A low rumble emerged from Kyrax's chest, something between a laugh and a sigh. You speak of overthrowing a corrupt government with the same casualness as you would discuss brewing coffee. Well, they both require careful preparation, precise timing, and the right equipment. Maya checked the tunnel access panel. Coast is clear. We should move now, while the patrols are focused on the outer sectors. As they prepared to leave their temporary sanctuary, Kyrax spoke again. Maya of the last being, I begin to understand why the Council fears human unpredictability. You take the fundamental laws of society, of empire and authority and power, and treat them with the same regard as your daily recipes. Is that a bad thing? No. Kyrax's scales shifted to a color Maya hadn't seen before, something like starlight on water. It is exactly what the galaxy needs right now. The next 3 days at the last beam passed in a carefully orchestrated dance of normalcy and subterfuge. Maya maintained her usual cheerful demeanor, serving regulars and chatting about station gossip while gathering crucial intelligence from her unsuspecting customers. The Zentari merchants who frequented her shop turned out to be invaluable sources of information about Security Council movements throughout the sector. The mechanist, between sips of oil-black espresso, inadvertently revealed details about the QCOM hub's maintenance schedules. Even the station's cleaning droids, which Maya always treated with unusual courtesy, proved useful by sharing their mapped routes through the hub's service areas. In the hidden sub-basement, Kyrax pored over the information Maya collected, their scales shifting through analytical patterns of blue and silver. The space, though cramped for a draconian, had been transformed into a makeshift command center. Maya's collection of spare parts and old coffee equipment now shared space with holographic maps and security protocols. Your insight about the shift changes was correct, Kyrax announced as Maya descended the hidden stairs with fresh coffee. There is a 3-minute window during the third cycle when the quantum arrays are running automated diagnostics. Security is minimal then. Maya set down the coffee, a special blend she created for draconian physiology. 3 minutes isn't much time. It will have to be enough. Kyrax's tail curled thoughtfully, though I am more concerned about the encryption protocols. Without proper access codes, they were interrupted by a soft chime from Maya's security system. Someone had entered the shop above. Maya quickly checked the hidden camera feed and tensed. Council agents, 3 of them. Kyrax immediately dimmed their bioluminescent scales, but Maya held up a hand. Wait, something's different about these ones. She enhanced the image. The agents moved stiffly, their armor showing subtle signs of damage. When one turned, she caught a glimpse beneath their helmet, scales that seemed dull, almost lifeless. They're being controlled, Kyrax whispered, their voice heavy with horror. The array's influence is spreading faster than I anticipated. These were once my elite guards, now reduced to puppets. Maya watched as the agents began a methodical search of her shop. They'll find nothing. But she bit her lip, an idea forming. Can you tell how deeply they're controlled? The lack of bioluminescence suggests total suppression of conscious will. Why? Because if the Council is willing to control their own people so completely, they might have gotten sloppy with their security protocols. Maya's eyes gleamed with sudden inspiration. The controlled agents must still have valid access codes, right? Kyrax's scales flickered with understanding. Yes, but accessing their neural patterns would require. They stopped, eyes widening. The quantum resonance in my coffee blend. Exactly. Maya grinned. You said draconians are naturally resistant to the array's influence. What if we could use that coffee I made for you, the one specifically tuned to draconian biology, to temporarily disrupt the control? It could work, Kyrax mused, their tail lashing with excitement. A moment of clarity might be enough to access their original memories, including security protocols. But how would we? Leave that to me. Maya was already heading for the stairs. I'm going to do what I do best, serve coffee. Above, Maya emerged from the storage room with a fresh pot of the special draconian blend. Officers, perfect timing. I just finished brewing a new recipe specifically designed for draconian customers. Would you care to sample it? Free of charge, of course. The agents turned toward her with mechanical precision. This establishment is under investigation. Of course. But surely you can investigate better with clear heads. This blend is enhanced with neural stimulants approved by the Council itself. Maya kept her voice casual, professional, trying to ignore how her heart pounded. There was a pause as the agent's programming processed this offer. Finally, the lead agent spoke. Sampling local products falls within surveillance protocols. Maya poured 3 cups with steady hands, adding a subtle extra shot of the quantum-resonant compound Kirax had helped her prepare. Careful, it's hot. Best to remove your helmets. The agents complied with robotic efficiency, revealing the dull scales beneath. As they raised the cups to their lips, Maya sent a silent prayer to whatever cosmic forces might be listening. The effect was almost immediate. Color flooded back into their scales, their eyes brightening with momentary clarity. The lead agent gasped, their cup clattering to the counter. "My Emperor," they whispered, their real personality breaking through the control. The codes. Sector 7, Terminal 3, override sequence. Then, as quickly as it had come, the moment of clarity passed. The agent's scales dulled again, their postures returning to mechanical stiffness. But Maya had what she needed. "Thank you for your participation in our customer satisfaction survey," she said brightly. "Please feel free to return during regular business hours." The agents departed, their programming apparently satisfied with the interaction. As soon as they were gone, Maya rushed back to the sub-basement. "Did you get that?" she asked Kirax, who was already inputting the briefly revealed codes into their planning system. Every digit. Their scales were practically glowing. "Maya of the last being, you have given us more than access codes. You have given us hope. Those agents, my people, they can be saved." "1 cup at a time," Maya agreed. "Now about that 3-minute window." Kirax's expression turned serious. "Tomorrow. The Council is planning something big. I can feel it in the quantum fluctuations. We must act before they fully implement their new control protocols." Maya nodded, already mentally reviewing their plan. The next day would either see the beginning of a revolution or, well, she preferred not to think about the alternative. "Then we better make sure everything's ready." She managed a small smile. After all, a good barista always preps their station before the morning rush. The QCOM hub hummed with energy as Maya made her final delivery of the morning. Her hovercart was loaded with the usual array of drinks, but hidden beneath the thermal containers was enough of the specialized draconian blend to free an entire squad of mind-controlled guards. She nodded to the security checkpoint staff, the same ones who'd been greeting her every morning for the past 3 years. "Extra shot of espresso today. Rix, you look tired." The mechanist guard's optical sensors whirred gratefully. "Your observational protocols are as accurate as ever, Maya." Inside, she pushed her cart through familiar corridors, making her usual stops. Each delivery was precisely timed, matching the schedule she and Kirax had memorized. As she served the controlled draconian guards their special blend, she kept her movements casual, unhurried. In her ear, a tiny communicator whispered with Kirax's voice. "Security systems registering normal activity. Quantum fluctuation stable. Proceed to Phase 2. Maya reached the central break room, the closest point to the hub's main array. As she arranged cups on the counter, her fingers danced across the hidden panel Kirax had prepared. Activating the quantum resonance disruptors they'd smuggled in piece by piece over the past few days. The controlled draconians in the room began to stir, their scales flickering with returning awareness. Maya checked her chronometer. 2 minutes until the diagnostic window. A sudden alarm blared through the complex. Maya's heart jumped as Kirax's voice crackled urgently. "Council ships entering the sector. They must have detected the quantum disturbance." "Maya, abort." "No time to abort," she interrupted, already moving. "Sticking to the plan. Get ready." She burst out of the break room, pushing her cart straight toward the main array chamber. Guards moved to intercept her, but those who had consumed her coffee were now fighting through their programming, creating enough confusion to let her slip past. The array chamber doors were locked, But Maya had spent 3 days memorizing the access codes she gleaned from the controlled guards. Her fingers flew across the keypad, and the doors slid open. Inside, the quantum array rose like a crystalline spire, pulsing with otherworldly energy. Maya had exactly 90 seconds before the diagnostic cycle ended. Kirax. Now. The Emperor's presence flooded the station's communication systems, their voice resonating with royal authority. People of the Draconian Empire, hear the truth. Maya plugged the modified coffee machine processor, containing all their evidence about the Council's crimes, directly into the array's input port. The quantum harmonics they'd coded into the data matched perfectly with the diagnostic frequencies. The chamber erupted in chaos as Council forces burst in, weapons raised. But they were too late. The array pulsed once, twice, and then the transmission was out, broadcasting across the Empire through the quantum network. Through the chamber's viewport, Maya saw Council ships closing in on the station. For a moment, she thought they were finished. Then new ships appeared, dropping out of hyperspace in a cascade of light. Leading them was a massive Draconian warship, its hull gleaming with the Imperial colors. The Loyalist fleet. Kyrax's voice held fierce pride. They received our signal. The Council's deception is exposed. Council forces in the chamber suddenly clutched their heads as the control signal was disrupted. Their scales regained color and life as the array's influence faded. Maya slumped against her cart, adrenaline draining. Well, that was exciting. The chamber doors opened again, and Kirax entered in full Imperial regalia, their scales blazing with righteous authority. The freed Draconians immediately dropped to one knee, recognizing their true emperor, Maya of the Last Being. Kirax's voice held warm amusement. You have helped save an empire with nothing more than coffee and kindness. Don't forget the illegal modifications to the quantum array, she quipped. Pretty sure I violated at least 6 station regulations there. I believe I can grant you a royal pardon. Kyrax's scales shifted to that unique color like starlight on water. The color, Maya now realized, of joy. Though I hope this means the Last Being will not be losing its most valuable customer. Well, Maya pretended to consider it. I suppose I could add official Imperial coffee supplier to the shop's name. Might be good for business. Through the viewport, they watched as Council ships surrendered to the Loyalist fleet. The station's communication systems were flooded with reports from across the Empire as people broke free from the array's control. A new day was dawning for the Draconian people, and it had started with a simple cup of coffee. You know, Maya said thoughtfully, most coffee shops just have to worry about health inspections. Mine seems to attract galaxy-changing conspiracies. The universe works in mysterious ways, Kyrax agreed. Though perhaps not as mysterious as your coffee recipes. Maya laughed, already planning how to rearrange her shop to accommodate regular visits from Imperial dignitaries. She had a feeling the Last Being's quiet days were over, but that was okay. After all, the best coffee shops were the ones where anyone, from station workers to exiled emperors, could find a moment of peace and a spark of kindness. And if that kindness occasionally sparked a revolution, well, that was just an extra shot of excitement in the daily grind.